Hello and a warm welcome to all of you. As director of the School of Music, it gives me great pride and a sense of privilege to welcome tonight's very first Music Hub moment. Our director, Charles Olivier, Chase as you will learn to call him, is going to be introducing a vast and diverse array of our faculty, their favorite selections of music, a little television capsule, if you will, each week, sharing some of the best and brightest moments that we can, making sure that we still connect to the Lubbock community, our alumni, our friends of music. Welcome, enjoy, and we can't wait to welcome you back in our corridors soon.
Hello, and welcome to the Music Hub of the Texas Tech University School of Music. My name is Charles Olivier, and I am your host for this episode of a Music Hub Moment. On today's show, we will be listening to an interview with Dr. Gregory Brooks, Associate Professor of Voice, and Dr. Carolyn Cruz, Associate Director of Choir Studies, Associate Professor of Music Education, and Director of the Texas Tech University Women's Chorale. They have been working on a 3-part performance project that explores the new genre of choragia. And after the interview, we will listen to the first installment, Reflections on Yad Vasem. Now let's listen to my interview with Dr. Brooks and Dr. Cruz as they guide us through this new genre of choragia. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your very busy day to sit down and talk with us about a really, really cool project. I've been doing a little bit of video watching myself and listening to some other professors around the United States that have also ventured into this. So I'm really, really excited to see what you guys are doing. But before we get started, Dr. Cruz, go ahead and let us know, what do you do at the School of Music?
Sure. I'm the conductor of the Women's Chorale, the Texas Tech Women's Chorale, and I'm an associate professor of music education and also an associate director of choral studies. So I teach courses mostly to the upper level undergraduate music ed majors who are going to be choir teachers. I also partner with a cohort of music ed professors to teach the curriculum and practicum courses in music education, which is the senior year, the last year before student teaching. And I'm a student teaching supervisor. I also teach as part of our summer Master's in Music Education program. And that's about it.
Okay. And what about you, Dr. Brooks?
I teach vocal performance in the School of Music. I'm a voice professor, so I teach a lot of one-on-one applied voice lessons. I also teach undergraduate and graduate vocal pedagogy, French diction, and I direct operas from time to time.
Okay, so let's dive right into it. So tell us a little bit, and this can be either one of you guys, whoever wants to, chime in whenever you feel like you need to. But go ahead and tell us, what is this music genre, choragia, and where did it originate? What makes it what it is? Just kind of the bare bones of what this is.
Yeah, good job saying the name, by the way. This sort of a made-up word with German roots.
Now, all words are made up, so.
Yeah, that's true. This fusion of elements from opera and from choral music had its start in the country of Slovenia by a woman named Carmina the choir is Carmina Slovenica, conducted by Carmina Šilek. And I first heard of the genre and saw a few videos online from one of my mentors when I was doing my doctorate at Michigan State. And I really was just captivated by the ways in which the singers would bring the music to life and the visual elements and the dramatic elements that are involved. Yeah. Greg, do you want to continue from there?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been a connection between theater and music. It's gone all the way back to the Greek times. There's been that interest in theater and music happening at the same time. And we've had opera for centuries, and in this last century, we've had musicals, and choral performances have traditionally kind of been outside of the theatrical realm. And this genre of choragia allows choral performances specifically, and I'm talking about outside of the context of an operatic chorus, but choral performances to use the elements of theater to express artistically in that realm as well. And so choragia really is an interesting, innovative amalgamation of several different art forms.
So we touched on it just a tad bit with the last bit of your answer, but let's dive into it a little bit more. What does choragia bring to music, and as well as like music theater as well, that other genres do not? And it's almost like, why is it needed?
Well, a few of the elements that we include are dramatic staging, costumes that are not just choir uniforms that we're used to seeing, dramatic lighting. With the latest production that we've been working on, we've incorporated some set pieces, which we have not done too much before. So these elements of staging, costumes, dramatic lighting, expression of the text, but not necessarily acting out the text. I always love how Greg says to the women when we're working on a project that this piece of choral music does not really have a plot. There's not necessarily a story that we're trying to act out or to emulate in some way, but we take the text itself and create scenes. Sometimes we create small families or scenes of small families, and sometimes we do some choreographed movement that, in an effort to bring the music to life for the audience, for the listener, in a more profound and deep way.
When we think about art, I'm going to get philosophical a little bit, but when we think about art, art is the expression of our subjective reality. So, your question, why do we need this genre? The answer is, why do we need any art? Why do we need any art form? Why do we need any music? Why do we need any theater? Why do we need any expression of art? And the reason is to express how we feel, express our human condition, express our human experiences. And so music is very much an expression of our human experiences through sound, through the emotion that we are able to portray in our sound, through the way that harmonies make us feel, through the ways that rhythms make us feel. And the dramatic arts are a way to use acting to make us feel a certain way, to use movement to make us feel a certain way, to use costume, as Carolyn was talking about, lighting, set pieces. Those all make us feel things. And, it goes right back to what Carolyn said, the first videos that she watched of Carmina Slovenica and just being captivated by what she was seeing. There's a connection there. There's an intensity of emotion that happens when we bring more than one artistic genre together and meld it together. And I think, the reaction that we get from the audience is surprise, it is excitement, it is profound. And I think that's why we're both very energized and excited about exploring this art form.
So let's focus a little bit more into what you guys are doing here at Texas Tech. So how did you even find yourself organizing and creating a project like this? Let's talk a little bit about, the history behind this performance that you're doing.
And you're talking about the one that will be shown here in the clip.
Yeah.
This is our first project in the spring of 2016. Yeah, so I had been captivated by this ensemble, and had done some research on its conductor, and I found out that Carmina Shilek, I found out that she was going to be the keynote presenter at a conference in Newfoundland, St. John's, Newfoundland. So I asked Greg if he was interested in putting together a proposal so that we could at the conference, or be able to attend the conference and meet her in person. And so we did. The proposal had nothing to do, well, it had something to do with Choragia, but we had not done this project before together. And so we put something together to go to the conference, but then while we were there, we were able to meet her and listen to her keynote, and took lots of notes, and was just very interested in talking to her in person and asking her questions and being able to reflect and discuss in real time these ideas. And I had been thinking about this piece of music called Reflections from Yad Vashem by Daniel C. Hall. It was in my stack of things that I wanted to do for the future. And this was early in the school year, so I hadn't programmed yet the spring concert repertoire. But I remember I had it in my possession, and I had it with me on our flight home. And so I showed it to Greg, and I said, "What do you think about us just jumping in and starting with this piece?" And he was on board, and that's really how the collaboration began. It's a 7-minute work, so it's a slightly extended choral work, because choral repertoire is typically in the anywhere from 2.5 minutes, on the shortish side, to extended works that can be with major ensemble, with orchestra or instrumental ensemble. So this is a 7-minute single piece, and it's sectionalized, so there's various sections that are within it. And I think it lended itself really well to be this first project that we started with. Additionally, I had heard it performed at the ACDA National Convention by another women's ensemble, and it was a concert version. So I did hear it in live performance, and I was moved by the performance of the piece, and was fairly new at that time. But I was excited about the opportunity to bring it to life with this genre.
So like many new genres that we start studying and comes into our musical world, it really starts changing how we view other styles of music. Have you guys noticed if Choragia has changed how you are creating other styles of music?
It has increased my awareness of movement in general, and an appreciation for movement that is beyond kind of the plot-driven movement that would exist in an opera. If the opera tells you to jump out the window, then you have to jump out the window. Whereas with Choragia, there is a similarity to dance, although I would never say that you have to be a dancer to do this. And that's our goal, is that we want something that's accessible to singers who may not have dance experience. But at the same time, we've been working with a choreographer with Ballet Lubbock. She's the community outreach director. Lara, what's Lara's last name? I'm sorry, Carolyn.
That's okay, Davis. Lara Davis.
Lara Davis. And Lara has been able to bring to the table her expertise with movement and choreography, and it has been wonderful to see what that does to the movement. And so I've grown to appreciate. I've always loved dance, but I've grown to appreciate and understand it more through this exploration of drama, movement, and music.
For me, it's in the expression. And I don't know that I see other genres of music in a different way. I mean, I probably do, but I know that it affects the expression that I choose to lead with or to teach with, or that I aim to bring out in the ensemble in other choral performances. So even when we walk on stage and stand on the risers and have our folders and sing, I think that the work with this genre, with choragia, has brought an added expressive element to all of the performing that we do. And that's a really good thing.
There's a greater understanding of the drama, right? The What's the drama behind the music? What is the emotion behind it?
And I
Yeah,
think
and you
it's
can express that even when you're standing on the choral riser.
Hmm.
so all of you two are, showing how it's impacted you. What do you think about the students? Do you think this impact of how to even look at music as a whole now, do you think that's been absorbed also by your students and the music that they're producing?
Absolutely. One of the things that we struggle with as teachers of music is to get our students to express, and get our students to be less robotic and more human. And
Yeah, and less like we're telling you how to do it, and more what are you feeling
mhm,
about the music, yourself. I've done a little bit of research. I did a survey 2 years ago from our project and have a few quotes I could share
Yeah.
without taking too much time.
Oh, of course.
But one of them is I asked the question, when considering the choragia process, what are your observations about our ensemble's musicianship and performance presence? And this singer said, I feel like adding choragia to a choir piece helps to enhance the message of the piece. By combining dance, movement, and acting to the pieces, it creates a more powerful message versus if we simply sang the pieces as and she put it in quotes, normal choir. Because of this, I feel like storytelling is a huge strength of the TTU Women's Chorale.
yeah. Yeah, and although there may not be a plot to each of these individual songs, there is still a story. And that's very evident in Yad Vashem. Um, Reflections of Yad Vashem. We put the blocks out at the beginning for the women to sit on, to kind of make the image of a class photo.
Mm.
And that's not in the music. There's nothing in the music that says we have to create a class photo, but we're able to kind of create a story of these children that are victims or were victims of the Holocaust. And so by framing them in the sense of a school photo, it kind of brings them to life and um, makes it real in a way that wouldn't be the case necessarily on a choral riser. And then those blocks that they're sitting on slowly transform into the gravestones. And at first, the women stand on top of the blocks, but then towards the end of the song, they lay down in front of the blocks, and you realize these blocks are now gravestones. And so there's that element of storytelling that we get to kind of create, and it's very free thinking, because you have to just let your imagination flow and ask yourself, how can I create a story out of the foundation of the work, which is the music? How do I've now create a story out of this? And that's been very exciting and fun and playful and rewarding.
Mhm.
It almost reminds. Go ahead.
And challenging.
Yeah.
It's been all those wonderful things, but it also it would be easier, it'd be quicker
Mhm.
um, to learn the piece and walk on stage and sing it on risers or without risers, just singing on the stage. But adding these elements and really challenging the musicians in the ensemble and the musicians who play the instrumental parts, to play a role has been challenging and rewarding.
It almost a good analogy that comes to my mind is that these choral works is like a certain image on a canvas. But through choregia, it's like you've expanded that canvas and you're now able to paint in what the surroundings of that original image was. You're like giving it more of a full body instead of this one image.
Yeah, a couple of other quotes I have. Um, this was a question related to unexpected outcomes. So what were the outcomes that were unexpected to you, to the singers, from their point of view? And one said, I didn't expect to feel so passionately about our staging and performance choices. I didn't expect to be able to portray the emotions so well. I have a hard time sometimes making that emotional connection to the music and accurately representing that. But I thought I learned better how to do that through working with choreography performance.
You know, it maybe is an analogy to listening to a book on tape versus watching a movie. Um, and they both have incredible value. You know, when you listen to a story that's just told orally, you engage your imagination in a way that you don't when you're watching a movie. But you know, we enjoy both of those things, and I wouldn't want to ever suggest that we're telling people that this is a better version of choral performance. It's not. It's just a different version of choral performance, and it's an exciting way to do it, partly because it's new and it's unexplored, but it's different. And um, we have a job as academics to explore new things, and you know, that's another one of the reasons why we're doing this.
Mhm.
So this is a 3-part installment, and you've already done 2 of the pieces. So when can we look forward to this 3rd performance?
Yeah, so this first one that will be the video that we're going to share now, like I already said, was in 2016, a shorter work, extended work, but on the short side. And then our second installment, which is available on Dr. Brooks's YouTube page, the live version is available there, was a 3-movement extended work. So 3 different choral pieces that fit together as a set. And it lasted about 23 minutes. And so for this past semester, for this spring, we've been working on a project to present an entire choral program. So it's 6 octavos, about 25 to 30 minutes in length. And all 6 are individual octavos, so they don't fit together in a set. But we weave them together with the staging and with the choreography. And then we have a lighting designer who is working on the dramatic elements of the lighting. And the concert was to be performed on March 29th. So that has been postponed. And we are working on the plans to present this choreography performance in October. So it would replace the traditional fall concert for the women's chorale and be at that time instead.
Well, I know the School of Music is looking forward to this great performance that you guys are going to have. Thank you so much, Dr. Cruz, and thank you so much, Dr. Brooks, for your time today. I really appreciate it, taking out of your busy teaching schedule, and we are looking forward to that final installment. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Dr. Gregory Brooks and Dr. Carolyn Cruz and the amazing performance by the Texas Tech University Women's Chorale just as much as I did. We will look forward to seeing you next Tuesday with another episode of a Music Hub Moment brought to you by the Texas Tech University School of Music. Thank you and have a great week.